Welcome to Sales Simplified, and today I'd like to talk to you about Sparklines. Sparklines are a little bit new to Excel, not super new, but they're kind of an alternative to charting. And so let's go ahead and look at a chart first. So we can see here our data grid in the top part of our spreadsheet, which represents monthly invoices at a household, right? And then below that, we have a chart of those monthly invoices. So I have two issues with this particular chart. The first thing is the amount of data and how cluttered it is. So the top part of the chart is wide open. We have our totals and our mortgage that are all by themselves, but all the other lines are all crunched up below and overlapping. And because of the scale of the chart, it's really hard to see fluctuations in most of those monthly bills, which may be really important to us for future budgeting. So it's not super useful to try and evaluate those smaller bills in a chart like this. The other thing is the default coloring, which if I weren't being lazy, I could go through and change the default colors of the chart. But for instance, our mortgage and our internet are very similar colors of blue. Now, they're a little bit easier to see the difference herein in the legend, but when we look up into the chart, because they're kind of separated and there's so many other colors going on, it can be a little bit difficult sometimes to identify which one is which. The other one we have here is electricity and cell phone, which are also somewhat similar. And again, because they're kind of crunched up in this lower part of the chart, it may be difficult to distinguish them from each other. And so those are my two main issues. So to get around those, one way is, we could make up multiple charts, but let's go ahead and look at Sparklines. So let's start by selecting cell O2. And then we'll go to the Insert tab. Come over to the Sparklines area, and let's go ahead and click on the Line Sparkline option. So you can see here Excel has defaulted in the location where we want our sparkline to go as O2, which is the cell we selected before we clicked on the sparkline choice. And now we are going to select our data range that we want to represent in our sparkline. So let's go ahead and click this box here to minimize the pop-up window. And then we'll select our months for the mortgage, our monthly bill amounts for our mortgage. And now we'll click OK. So now we can see a very plain sparkline for the mortgage, which is just a straight line because it's the same amount every month. But we can also treat sparklines like a formula and drag them down. So with our cell containing our sparkline selected, in this case O2, we're going to move the mouse over the lower right-hand corner, click the left mouse button, drag, and we're still holding the left mouse button down. And now we're going to release the left mouse button. And now you can see our sparklines have been filled in for every row. So now we can really get the full effect of the variation that's happening in, for instance, our insurance and our water. So for instance, in our water bill, that spike that happened in May is because we were filling up the kids' pool, the above ground pool. And so that drove up our costs there. Whereas on our cell phone, we see those two spikes in our cell phone. So in June, we went on vacation and we went over our data. And then in December, we were sending lots of pictures. We were sending lots of pictures to people and videos and things. And so again, we went over our data in December. And so variations like that are a lot easier to see when we have these miniature charts versus our big chart down here that's cluttered up with lots of data. However, again, we kind of do lose the scale also with the sparklines because the high point on our water bill, again, which is in May there, is basically the same height as our mortgage as well, but obviously they're very different dollar amounts. So sparklines are very relative. So again, it depends on what you're doing, but these may or may not be a good choice for you. Also, you notice after we've created our sparklines that we have a Sparkline Tools tab. And so we have lots of different choices where we can change the colors and the appearance of our sparklines. So for instance, we can change them to orange and we can also change them to columns. But again, these are some great choices that you can go through and play with if you think you may have an application where this would be helpful to you. So I hope you'll subscribe and leave comments below if you have a topic you'd like me to cover, and come back and see me. Bye.